If you're new to Trello automation, then this video is for you. I'm going to be showing you the basics of setting up a Trello automation workflow, as well as some really practical examples that I use in my own business. So stick around. Okay, so if this is your first time in Trello, welcome. We're going to start by just kind of getting you a little oriented here real quick. So this is a Trello board, and these are your Trello lists, and then these are Trello cards. Okay, for more information about like what to put where, I'm going to link a video above where I talked about this and how this corresponds to maybe a spreadsheet that you might be more used to. So when you're ready to start automating things in Trello, you're going to become real good friends with this little guy up here. If your screen is smaller, you may just see this little lightning bolt, and that's the same thing. You might also see or hear people talking about Butler for Trello. Butler and automation are the same thing. Butler's what they used to call it. So every once in a while, you'll still see that terminology. It's the same exact thing. So we're just going to hop right in here to automation. You're going to see a couple of different options here, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to be here in rules. And just in case you don't already know why you would want to use automation, especially as a solopreneur, it's because it's going to take care of all of those repetitive, monotonous tasks that are sucking up your day right now. So, just the same as if you had a team or even a VA, Trello can act as a VA for you, handling a lot of those repetitive tasks so that you don't have to. Okay, so the very first type of automation we're going to talk about is automation where we move cards from one list to another automatically. Essentially, what you need to do is set a condition or a rule and say, hey, when this happens, I want the card to move. So let's say you have a card that's on your weekly tasks list, and when it's time for you to do it, you want it to pop up over onto your doing list automatically. Let me show you how we're going to do that. First, we're going to start by creating a card here, and we're just going to call it test card 1. Keep it nice and simple when you're figuring things out, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to hop over into that automation window into rules, and we're going to create this off of a particular day of the week, okay? So you can set up rules based off of lots of different things. I have another video that goes a little bit deeper into all the different types of automation, and I will make sure to link that above as well. But we're going to do this on Mondays, okay? So we're going to go ahead into our scheduled automations, and we're going to hit create automation. And then, like I said, we're going to schedule this on Mondays. So our trigger options here, we've got lots of them, but we're going to go ahead and just select Mondays. And then I always like to put a time on it because I feel like it's just a little bit cleaner that way. So let's go ahead and say at 1 a.m. And we're going to hit this blue plus sign. And now we've got a trigger, okay? And then we're going to tell it what we want it to do. So we want it to move cards. So we're going to say move all the cards from list weekly tasks into list doing, okay? And we're going to hit this blue plus sign. Now, we could go deeper with these filters, but we're keeping this really simple for right now because this is a brand new idea. So let's go ahead and hit this plus sign. Every Monday at 1 a.m., move all the cards from weekly tasks to doing. That is the rule we've set up. Now, when we set up automation, we always want to test it and make sure that it's working. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right here. Now, is it 1 a.m. on Monday? It is not. But luckily, with scheduled automations, we have a way to test it right now. So we got this little rocket ship. We're going to go ahead and click. And you're going to see the automation running at the bottom. And then I'm going to close this window, and we're going to see that our card that was here is now here. So now there's automation number 1. This is a practical way for you to take items that are on any particular list and move them into your doing or your inbox, whatever you prefer to call it, automatically. Our second type of automation that we could do here is to send us a notification. Now, there are notifications that happen inside of Trello, this little bell here, or if you're on the app, you can set up certain due date reminders to pop up a little notification on your app. let's say that you're using automation to move this card, or maybe you have someone else on your team and they are moving cards into your to do list. You might need an email notification for that. So, how do we do that? We're going to go ahead into automation again. And you might think that you'd want email reports here, but you actually don't. So, let me show you how you do this with a rule. We're going to go ahead and hit create automation again. And our trigger is going to be when a card is moved into that doing list. And I hit the plus sign here. And then we're going to tell it to, we're going to the content option. We're going to tell it to send an email notification. And from here, you would go ahead and put in your email address. You can fill in your subject line and your message, and it will automatically send you an email. Let's go ahead and do this one. And new item on doing list. And now you can get a little bit fancy with using some variables, is what they're called, here in the subject line and in the message body itself, in order to get some more specific information into your email. But we're not going to show that right now because why? Because we're keeping it simple. So we're going to go ahead and hit the blue plus sign here. And we're going to hit save again. And then what did I say? We need to always test our automations, right? So I'm going to go ahead and move this test card back over here to weekly tasks. I'm going to move this test card over and give it a second because it does take automations a minute or two to actually run. And once it does, we'll be able to pop on over to email. You could see right here that there's an email in there, right? And you can see our email right here. Remember when I said that it might say Butler? That's why, okay? Because it used to be called Butler, but it's still automation. And you can see right here that I have my email with the subject line that I created, and that's the body I put in the email. Now, you would want to put more in your email body so that your notification would be a little bit more helpful, but this is just showing you that it does, in fact, work. And our final automation, and this one is slightly more advanced, is to set up a simple recurring task. So we're going to go ahead and move our test card back over to weekly tasks. And this time we're going to give it a due date. So let's put it due today. Okay. And if you might have noticed, we do have a reminder on this card. That's going to be important in a minute because I'm going to give you a little bonus tip here. So we've got our due date and we've got our reminder. Let's go set up our automation. Back into rules. And we want to do this when we mark something complete. And we're again going to create automation. And our trigger here is going to be based on dates. So we're going to say when the due date is marked complete on a card, and I'm going to give it a specific list. So we're going to hit this little filter button and say in list weekly tasks. We'll hit our little plus sign and our blue plus sign. And here's our trigger. When a due date is marked complete in a card in our weekly tasks list. And then here's the recurrence. We're going to come in for our action. We're going to say dates. We're going to move the due date to the same day next week. We have lots of options here, you can see. We're going to hit this little plus sign and then hit the blue plus sign. And then one last thing we're going to remember to do here is actually tell it to mark it incomplete again. And the reason that that is important is because if you don't do that, then this recurring task will only happen once because it will never trigger the next notification for you. It's always going to look complete and it's just going to kind of die as a recurring task. So let's go ahead and hit save, and we will test this one in just a second. But that little bonus tip that I was telling you about, because you already have the reminder notification set on this due date, that means that with that recurring task setup, you're going to get that recurring notification every week as well, which is super cool. So let's go ahead and mark this complete and watch it push itself out a week. And there you go. And it's also going to mark itself incomplete as well. Why didn't it mark itself incomplete? There we go. It was a little slow. Sometimes it's a little slow, just so you know. I use this kind of automation in so many places in my business. I can't even tell you, especially this recurring task automation. It helps me with my content planning for Instagram, Facebook, for emails, for Pinterest, literally everything. It really reminds me what needs to be done when and seriously keeps me on task, which is so helpful in keeping me productive and making sure that I'm making the most of my time. Just a quick little recap of what we learned here. We learned how to move cards automatically. We learned how to send ourselves an email notification of something happening in our board. And we learned how to set up a recurring task. Okay, which of these automations are you going to use first? Let me know in the comments. The online tools for your business do not need to be complicated and overwhelming. It's time to let it be easy.